A Simple Life of Swami Vivekananda. Part 4. Chapter 19. To the Himalayas. After a few days, the plague relief work was over and there was no more danger. Swamiji, with some of his brother monks and the Western disciples, then went to the Himalayas. The journey was an interesting one. They passed through Patna, Banaras, Lucknow, and many other places, and Swamiji told them the history and greatness of every city. He told them about the Indian people and their life, their religion and culture. They stopped first at Nainital and then went to Almora. As always, Swamiji met many people and talked with them. He also explained many things about India to his Western disciples. Sister Nivedita has recorded some of these conversations in one of her books. After about a month, Swamiji went to Kashmir with his Western disciples. They traveled through much of Kashmir, part of the way in houseboats. They enjoyed the scenery very much. Swamiji explained many things about the people and history of Kashmir. Swamiji thought and spoke much of Shiva at this time. He decided to make a pilgrimage to the cave of Amarnath, deep in the Himalayas, where there was an ice image of Shiva. Sister Nivedita was allowed to go with him. It was an interesting trip and they passed through some of the most beautiful scenery in the world. Many other people were also in the party. Men, women and children from all parts of India, and also monks of many orders. When they halted for the night, a town of tents would quickly spring up. Many of the monks went to Swamiji to learn from him. The journey was not an easy one. They had to climb high glaciers, and once their camp was at 14,500 feet above sea level. Sometimes the path led close to the edge of a steep cliff. Swamiji followed all the customs of the pilgrimage and took baths in the streams, even though it was bitterly cold. On 2nd August, they reached Amarnath. Swamiji's mind at this moment was completely filled with thoughts of Shiva. With great devotion, he entered the cave of Amarnath and bowed before the ice image of Shiva. The cave was a huge one. Many people were standing there and they chanted songs in praise of Shiva. Swamiji had a great spiritual experience. Shiva was his all in all. Shiva, the great monk, the Eternal One. Such were his thoughts. For days afterwards, Swamiji talked of nothing but of Shiva. From Amarnath, Swamiji returned to Srinagar, where he stayed until the end of September. Here he spent more and more time in meditation. He often went by himself and stayed alone for days. But whenever he was with his disciples, he thrilled them with his ideas and helped them to understand India. While at Srinagar, Swamiji began to think more and more about God as the Divine Mother. Often he was heard singing the songs of Ram Prasad, a Bengali mystic and writer of songs about the Divine Mother. Sometimes he behaved as if he was a mere child of the Divine Mother. He felt that Mother led him in everything that he did. Sometimes he meditated for long hours upon her. He would take the boat to a lonely place and then meditate upon Kali the Mother. This continued for several days until he had a vision of Kali. Kali seemed to fill his whole mind. It was at this time that he wrote the poem Kali the Mother, one of his best poems. He felt that it was Mother who did everything and that he was just a plaything in her hands. All his plans about the future of India disappeared. He was now only a child, without any wish of his own and depending always upon Mother. Chapter 20. At Belur Math. Swami Vivekananda had deep spiritual experiences, but his health declined. It became so bad that he decided to return to Calcutta. He arrived at the monastery on 18th October. His brother monks were very glad to see him, but they felt sorry when they saw how ill he was. However, Swamiji had talks with the monks and held classes for them. One of Swamiji's wishes began to be fulfilled at this time. He had long wanted to help the women of India. They had great purity and other good qualities but had little education and were not very active in the world. Swamiji said they should have education and then they would solve their own problems. So he was very glad when Sister Nivedita began her work. She had come to India to be of service to Indian women and she now started a school for girls. She lived at first with Sri Sarada Devi and a few other lady devotees of Sri Ramakrishna. These ladies knew a great deal about the Hindu religion, the Ramayana, Mahabharata and many other things. Sister Nivedita learned much from them. Swami Vivekananda also continued to help her and he was very much interested in her school. Later, Sister Nivedita rented a separate house. She had to face man difficulties, but she succeeded in starting the school. The school is now a very big one and it has done much to uplift the women of India. Swami Vivekananda wanted to establish the new mart at Belur as soon as possible. The land had been purchased earlier and a puja was held in March 1898. Soon after, the work on the buildings was begun. In December, Swamiji and a few monks moved into the new monastery and soon all the monks began to live there. Swamiji believed that the new mart would become very great. It would be a center where all religions and religious teachers would be honored. The new ideas would spread from there and people would come to it from all over the world. Swami Sardananda, who had been working in America, came back to India at the call of Swamiji. Swamiji asked him to help organize the new mart, and this work went on successfully. Much time was spent in spiritual talk and study of the scriptures. Strict rules were followed. Swamiji also began to train the monks as preachers. He made his disciples give speeches. Early in 1899, he sent two of his disciples to preach at Dhaka, and a little later he also sent Swamis Sardananda and Turiyananda to Gujarat. They all had great success. Chapter 21. Second Visit to the West. Swamiji's health grew worse when the weather became warm. The doctors said that it would be good for his health if he went to the west again. The sea voyage would do him good. He decided to go. Swami Turiyananda and Sister Nivedita were to go with him. They sailed on 20th June 1899 in the steamer Golconda. The sea was very rough due to the monsoons. The ship stopped at Madras, but the Indian passengers could not land because there had been plague in Calcutta. Many of Swamiji's friends and disciples came alongside the steamer in boats and talked with the Swami. The ship next stopped at Colombo, and again large crowds came to see Swamiji and he met many old friends. The voyage was not an easy one, for the ship tossed and pitched constantly. And yet it was a wonderful time also, for Swamiji had long conversations with his companions. He said many interesting things about India and religious life. In this way the time passed, and then on 1st July the ship arrived at London. Swamiji stayed there for 2 weeks and then sailed for America. Two American ladies had gone to London to meet him, and they joined the party. On the voyage across the Atlantic, they enjoyed the voyage very much. After 10 days, the ship reached New York. Swamiji did not stay in New York, but went to the country house of Mr. and Mrs. Leggett, his American friends. It was about 150 miles from New York, near the Catskill Mountains. It was a beautiful and quiet place, and Swamiji stayed there until November. He had a good rest and his health improved very much. He was also glad to meet Swami Abhedananda, who had been working in America and was in charge of the Vedanta Society in New York. Swamiji then went to New York, where he held a few classes and met many of his old friends and disciples. They were very happy to see Swamiji again. Others had read his books, and now they were able to come and meet him. After 2 weeks, Swamiji went to California, on the west coast of the United States. He went first to Los Angeles. Many people were eager to see and hear him. They had read about him in the papers and had read his books. Therefore, he had to give many lectures. He told stories from the Ramayana and the Mahabharata in some of his lectures. In February, Swamiji went to San Francisco. Here also many people came to hear him. They were so much interested that Swamiji had to hold private classes. He taught them Vedanta philosophy, the Gita, and how to meditate. He rented a big flat so that he might hold the classes there. He gave many public lectures and also visited nearby towns to give lectures. So many people began to come to the classes that Swamiji started a Vedanta society in San Francisco. Once, while in an American town, he was walking on the bank of a river. He saw some young men with guns shooting at some eggshells which were floating in the river. But their marksmanship was bad and they could not hit the shells. Swamiji smiled when he saw them miss the mark. They saw him smiling at their failure and felt annoyed. They told him that it was not easy and asked him to try himself to shoot the shells. Swamiji took the gun and hit about a dozen shells. The young men thought that Swamiji had been trained by an expert, but he told them that he had never fired a gun before. His success was due to concentration of mind. One of Swamiji's students gave him some land for an ashram. It was far from any town or village and very quiet. Later in the year, Swami Turiyananda went there with 12 students. The place is called Shanti Ashram. As usual, Swamiji worked too hard, and his health also was not good. Mr. and Mrs. Leggett of New York heard about his bad health and invited him to go with them to Paris. He was also invited to attend a congress of the history of religions in Paris. He wanted to stay for a few weeks in New York, so he left California. It was a long trip and Swamiji was very tired when he reached New York. He gave a few lectures and talked with his old friends. He was pleased to see the progress made by the Vedanta Society. Chapter 22. To Europe. Swami Vivekananda sailed from New York and reached Paris on 1st August 1900. Mr. and Mrs. Leggett had a beautiful house in Paris and Swamiji stayed with them. He met many important people and had conversations with them. In this way, he was able to spread his ideas. The main event during his stay in Paris was the Congress of the History of Religions. Swamiji had begun to learn French during his stay in America. Now he began to study the language in earnest so that he could speak to the Congress. He succeeded and was able to explain difficult questions in French. His health was not good, but he was able to speak before the Congress twice. The other scholars liked his talks. He was very well known and met many important people. Dr. J. C. Bose, the great Indian scientist, was in Paris at that time and Swamiji met him several times. He was very proud of the scientific discoveries of his fellow countrymen. He then traveled through other parts of Europe. He visited Austria and Turkey. He stayed for several days in Constantinople, now called Istanbul, and saw many interesting places in the city. He also met a number of important people. He next took a steamer to Greece, where he stayed for a few days. Then he sailed for Egypt. Several friends were with him during these travels. He was much interested to see the pyramids and the museum at Cairo. And yet he was feeling tired of seeing all these things. His mind was fixed more and more on God, and he was not interested any more in seeing things in the world. He became eager to return to India. One day, he told his friends that he would soon sail for India. They felt very sad. Chapter 23. Return to India. Swamiji left by the first steamer bound for India. He was alone. He had told no one in India about his return. When the ship reached India, Swamiji was very happy. It was late at night on 9th December, 1900 when Swamiji reached Belur Math. No one knew he was coming. Swamiji was still dressed in European clothes, and the man at the gate did not know who he was. He did not let Swamiji in, but ran to the other Swamis who were taking their evening meal. He called out, "A Sahib has come." The monks were puzzled at this news. Who had come? What did he want? Before they could go to the gate, the Sahib came. When they saw who he was, they were very excited and happy. "Swamiji has come! Swamiji has come!" they cried. They spread a seat for Swamiji and gave him a large helping of khichdi. Swamiji ate it happily, as he had not eaten any for several months. Then they talked with him for hours while he told them about his experiences in the West. But there was sad news waiting for Swamiji. One of his best loved Western disciples, Mr. J. H. Sevier, had died. Mr. and Mrs. Sevier had given up everything for Swamiji and had come to India with him when he returned from his first trip to the West. They had traveled through India with him and had then begun to live in the Himalayas. They had started an ashram at Mayavati in the Himalayas. Now Mr. Sevier was dead. Swamiji knew that Mrs. Sevier was feeling great sorrow, and he wanted to go to Mayavati for a few days. He telegraphed at once to say that he was going to visit Mayavati. It was the middle of the winter. There was deep snow in the Himalayas and it was very cold. But though the trip to Mayavati was very difficult and unpleasant, Swamiji did not turn back. He reached Mayavati on 3rd January, 1901. Mrs. Sevier and the monks who lived there were very glad to see him. It was cold and the ground was covered with snow. But Swamiji went for long walks. He also had long talks with those who lived there. He stayed for 2 weeks and then returned to Belur Math. Swamiji stayed at Belur Math for about 7 weeks and then went to Dhaka in East Bengal. His health was becoming worse and worse, and it was hoped that the trip would do him good. On 18th March, he left Calcutta with several other monks. His mother was also in the party. At Dhaka, hundreds of people came to see Swamiji and listen to his words. He also gave two long speeches in spite of his bad health. He visited a few places of pilgrimage and also stopped at Guwahati, where he gave 3 lectures. Swamiji's health became worse. He was suffering from diabetes, and at Dhaka he also had an attack of asthma. He decided to go to Shillong in Assam, where it was thought that the dry air would help him. He spent some time talking with the Chief Commissioner, Sir Henry Cotton, who was a friend of India. He also gave a lecture which was attended by many people. Chapter 24. Last Days. Swami returned to Belur Math in May. His health continued to become worse, but he received many visitors daily, talked to them and gave them spiritual help. He also held classes for the monks and brahmacharins. He would often sing. He made rules for life in the monastery and saw that the monks observed them. He made them get up early in the morning for meditation. He himself was always up very early. He was interested in many things about the life at Belur Math, the garden, the cows, the cooking and many such things. He especially liked animals. There were many at the Math then. There was a dog called Bagha, a she-goat which Swamiji called Hasi or Swan, and also cows, sheep, ducks, geese, an antelope, a stork, and a kid called Matru. These animals also loved Swamiji very much, and Matru would follow him about and sometimes even slept in his room. But Bagha was the chief of the animals. Once he did something wrong, and the monks took him across the river and left him there. But Bagha came back. He jumped on a ferry boat and growled loudly at the boatman when he tried to make him leave. The boatman was afraid and let Bagha stay on the ferry. The next morning, Swamiji found Bagha lying at his door. He patted him and told the other monks that Bagha was not to be sent away again. In October 1901, he had the Durga Puja performed at Belur Math. All the devotees of Sri Ramakrishna came on that occasion. The puja was performed in a grand style and hundreds of people were served with prasad. Later, the Swami also performed the Lakshmi Puja and Kali Puja. After this, his health became much worse. He had to stay in bed for several days. After resting for some time, he became better. However, he could not work as hard as before. Towards the end of the year, two Japanese scholars came to see Swamiji at the Math. They wanted him to go to Japan to speak at a Congress of Religions. Swamiji was willing to go, but was unable to do so because he was too ill. However, he visited Bodh Gaya and Banaras with one of the Japanese gentlemen, Mr. Okakura. Many people came to him at Banaras. The Maharaja of Bhinga offered him money for establishment of a monastery in Banaras. Swamiji accepted the offer and later sent Swami Shivananda to Banaras to start a math. Several young men in Banaras had tried to follow Swamiji's teachings. They rented a small house and tried to help the poor and sick people who had no home or friends. They worked hard without thinking of their own comfort. Swamiji was pleased to see this and was very proud of these young men. Swamiji enjoyed his stay in Banaras. The climate was good for his health and he felt much stronger. However, he soon returned to Belur Math. One interesting thing happened while he was living at Belur Math. The Math had a new edition of Encyclopedia Britannica. There were 25 huge volumes. Swami Vivekananda began reading them. He had great powers of concentration and could read very quickly. He soon finished 10 volumes and had started reading the 11th. At that time, a disciple came. He saw the long line of huge volumes and said, "It would be hard for anyone to understand so many volumes even if he read for his whole life." Swamiji replied, "How is that? I have already read 10 volumes. You can ask me any question you like from them." The disciple then started asking difficult questions from each of the 10 volumes. Swamiji answered them all correctly. In some cases, he even remembered the exact words used in the encyclopedia. The disciple said, "This is beyond the power of man." But Swamiji explained that it was due to concentration. If anyone lived a pure life, he could get such concentration. Chapter 25. The Passing. The last months of Swami Vivekananda were spent at Belur Math. He continued to teach and help people until the very end. He had great love for people and wanted to help them as much as he could. He knew that the end was near, and he prepared for it. He even told his disciples that he would not live much longer. They could not believe it, however, for he looked cheerful and his health seemed to be improving. They fondly hoped he would live for some more years. Just 3 days before his passing, he was walking in the mud grounds with Swami Premananda. Swamiji pointed to a particular place and said, "When I give up the body, cremate it there." Today, the Vivekananda temple stands on that very spot. Then came the last day, 4th July, 1902. He went to the chapel in the morning and closed all the windows and doors. He meditated there for 3 hours and then began to sing a beautiful song about the Divine Mother. Coming down from the shrine, he walked back and forth in the courtyard for a while. He took his meal with the monks in the dining hall. After lunch, he held a class on Sanskrit grammar with the brahmacharins. The class lasted for over 2 hours, and he appeared a little tired afterwards. Later, he went for a long walk with Swami Premananda. Swamiji spoke about his idea of starting a Vedic college at the Math. After returning from the walk, the Swami talked for a while with the monks. Evening came. Swamiji became more and more quiet and did not pay much attention to what was going on around him. The bell rang for the evening service and Swamiji went to his own room. He sat in meditation, facing the Ganga. After an hour, Swamiji called one of his disciples and asked him to fan his head. He lay on the bed and the disciple fanned him for a time and then began to massage his feet. The disciple thought that Swamiji was sleeping. Once Swamiji's hand shook a little. Then he took 2 deep breaths. The disciple saw that something strange had happened. He called a monk, who examined Swamiji. He found that there was no pulse and no breath. This was Swamiji's Mahasamadhi. It was a few minutes after 9 o'clock in the evening. Swamiji had worked hard throughout his life. Now, the tired child slept in the lap of the mother. His life was finished, but his work goes on. His call to his countrymen was, "Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached." His countrymen did hear his call. A great awakening began in the country, followed by a period of intense activity. Men and women began to work selflessly for the poor and downtrodden. Many people trace India's independence directly to the great movement that began after Swami Vivekananda.